Nazi fags.
Mary, I am out of control. Yeah, I use drugs. I can do what I want, bitch. Yeah, I have sex and I don't use protection. It's my hot body. I'll do what I want. I don't go to school and I kill people. Whatever. I'll do what I want.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Tension Tuesday. We got a lot to cover today. It's relatively quiet right now in the world, but there's still plenty going on. The top story, and God, I hope it's true, is Joseph Robinette Biden has been talking about stepping down. So, stepping down from the office of president. God, I hope so. There's been a lot of talk of Governor Newsom being the next nominee for the Democratic Party. However, if Newsom is going to be the nominee, he's missing a lot of the registration states. So as we know from the primary process, you have to be registered in the states to be on the ballot for the primary. You have to get enough primary votes to then become president or the nominee for your party to then run for president. And Newsom has missed several of those. Yeah, so interesting, but there's a lot of grumbling. And then you look at the fact checkers, and everybody says that that's untrue. So we can only hope. There's also some talk that Heels Up is going to regain the Senate seat in California, which is going to open up the spot for vice president, and Gavin Newsom will be elevated as the nominee for the Democrats. It seems like a lot, but we're hearing grumblings, and usually where there's smoke, there's fire, especially in the brain of President Joe Biden, former vice president. Sorry. Let's say hello to everybody, and we'll get right into it. Biden is incapable of stepping down. He can only fall down. True story. That's why they made the step shorter on Air Force One, and he still fucks it up every time.
Nazi fags.
Can't use that one enough. Anyways, Dog Mama, hello. Bad Dazzler, what's up, mate? Hey, what's up, Jason J? Hey, Linda. Officially or unofficially? Because I think he's been dead for a while, if we're being honest. What's up, Neo? That's unpossible? Is that impossible or unpossible? I don't want Newcomb as president, but he's handsome and women vote for him. Yeah, because it's popularity contest. I've heard a lot of Robert F. Kennedy, too. I'm sorry. I just do not think that solely because of his voice, and it may not be right. And I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for him for that reason, but I'm saying that a lot of people, because of the fact that he's not a good speaker, because he has something wrong with his voice, people are not going to vote for Kennedy. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah. They did make the step shorter, so he comes out of the... I can show you. I can show you. We'll see. So here is a good. And I may have to do a Trump Air Force One just because. Nope, here's one. Well, that's not totally fair because you can't really see it. Funny clip, but you can't really see it. So there's the other one. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab a Trump Air Force One just for comparison's sake. He did start like Donald Trump did, but then they changed it shortly thereafter. What the hell is that? Oh, come on. Seriously, they're not going to show any of the steps? You can't really see it from there. Let's see. My apologies. I didn't know it is this hard to find a freaking picture of Air Force One. So we can use just this for reference and kind of piece it together because apparently you can't find a picture of Air Force One anymore. So here is originally, so we can see above this gold line, so above the blue. This is originally how Air Force One, how they got off. And now you can see that it's below not only the darker blue, which we can see up here, it's also down in the belly of this light blue. So it's in the bottom of the aircraft now, where it was quite a ways up there. Like, so we're talking quite a distance between the two. So, yes, they did make the steps considerably shorter. RFK can get the voice fixed, but refuses to get it fixed. You would think that he could get it fixed if he wanted to. I don't think he thinks it's going to cost him. And just honestly, that is the truth of the situation. It is going to cost him. No, unfortunately, no. That's kind of baked into the cake anymore. Exactly. And ever since John F. Kennedy, so the when they got shot by the magic bullet in Dallas, ever since that Kennedy, it's been a popularity contest, and it's been not who's the best candidate for the office, but who's the most popular. So he's not going to be that. So, God, that would be funny. That might be coming next if he wins another one. He does ride the short plane. So the steps are different. But let's get right into tonight's news about the ongoing tensions in the world. First, we're going to start in the Middle East, Israeli-Palestine conflict. The Israeli media sent Netanyahu and others to prison. The intelligence services knew about the attack by Hamas and informed, why did they let them go then? So it's gaining considerable amount of traction. We're just going to watch the video because there's a lot to read. But there's a lot of intelligence that a junior Israeli officer in the elite 82nd Hundred Intelligence Unit warned over Hamas's plan to infiltrate event and is ignored by her commanders and threatened with court-martial. So it's seeming to be set up that there was some knowledge of this. An Israeli officer, here's another one, mass infiltration, you're imagining. So they had advance notice of October 7th, and that's becoming very evident.
There seems to have been a failure of intelligence as well. We're not quite sure how we missed it. We're not quite sure how Israel missed it. We know that Egypt had warned the Israelis 3 days prior that an event like this could happen. We know that this had been planned perhaps as long as a year ago. The other concern.
So we're talking about Mossad, who's supposedly the best intelligence agency. We're talking about all these other factors that contribute to the Israeli intelligence services, and they're the best in the world, and somehow they just fucking missed it. I don't buy it, and you're starting to see loud grumblings that was not the case. So, yeah, I mean, you decide for yourself, but I'm starting to see more and more reporting coming out that they had every advanced warning and knowledge of this. And they decided to let it happen. That could fuel some of the things that say they wanted it so they could be heavy-handed. But, I mean, heavy-handed in the response. I'm not sure. That's not my gig, but yeah, it's starting to really seem like they had advanced warning and knowledge of this event. So, absolutely missed it. Yes, exactly. Like we did with Pearl Harbor in September 11th, probably. Missed it. Wink, wink. And now RFK is running as independent in order to, in my opinion, take votes away from Trump and to stop his win. Then RFK Jr. can run in 28 as the guy who took down Trump. He doesn't even need to win 24. Potentially. I still contend that there's not going to be an election in 24, but I've been wrong once or twice. I could be wrong again, but I don't think so. It's kind of setting up for that. Or you split it so nobody gets 270, and then it goes to Congress, and Congress picks who they want. Could be the play as well. So, moving right along, NATO calls for a military Schengen zone in Europe for free movement of troops. Rage in Russia. Shit, this wasn't supposed to be in the Hamas one. So we're going to act like that didn't happen. We're going to throw that over in Russia because it got sorted into the wrong section. Never mind. All right. Fiery speech by Hamas calls for escalation of hostilities against Israelis on all fronts. So again, we're going to watch this video. I think it's in Arabic, but it has subtitles.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الذي كتب على نفسه نصر المجاهدين في سبيله وكان حقا علينا نصر المؤمنين وكتب الذلة على المجرمين المعتدين ليبعثن عليهم إلى يوم القيامة من يسومهم سوء العذاب والصلاة والسلام على نبينا المجاهد الشهيد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن جاهد جهاده وبعد. يا أبناء شعبنا العظيم الصامد في وجه الظلم والعدوان، يا رمز الكبرياء وعنوان الكرامة والبطولة، يا مجاهدين الأشداء في خطوط المواجهة وثغور الجهاد والرباط والتحدي.
Yes, he is.
يا مقاتلي أمتنا وجماهيرها، يا كل أحرار العالم، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. في اليوم 48.
Okay, that's enough of that. You get the thing. It's just like any other. It's like any other fucking conference. They're just going to threaten people. They're saying that they're increasing, fighting and stuff like that. They're in a ceasefire right now, so that should contribute to some delay in escalation. But it's the same speech you've heard a million times. Wasn't going to go through the whole thing because it was like 15 minutes. So, but anyways, the Israel, the army has destroyed 400 underground tunnels of Hamas since the beginning of the war in Gaza. So they're taking a lot of credit and understanding that many of the tunnels were under hospitals, schools, homes. The Israeli Armed Forces announced today that Gaza Strip has a population of approximately 2.2 million people. Some of the tunnels were reinforced with concrete and electrified. On average, they are 2 meters high and 1 meter wide, but some are large enough for vehicles to withstand Israeli airstrikes. Some are tens of meters deep. According to Israel, many entrances to the tunnels are in residential buildings or mosques. The Israeli military says it's discovered a Hamas tunnel on the site of the Shifa Hospital, Gaza's largest. The discovered well leads to a tunnel about 55 meters long and 10 meters deep, the military said at the weekend. The hospital is the Israel shouldn't have bombed this. They did, blah, 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 back and forth, back and forth. So believe who you would with that. But here's a couple clips of them destroying tunnels. Clearing tunnels. So they're real proud of the scratchy mic. They're real proud of their tunnel clearing prowess. Here's some more tunnels and some boom booms that go in tunnels. And they're just dropping them in and letting them blow. That seems safe. I don't want that job. Anytime you're dropping ordnance in a hole while you're standing over it, that's... I don't know about that. And boom. Goes the dynamite. Oh. Gratuitous explosion at the end. Mind you, there's a lot of propaganda going on everywhere. It's a war. All right, and believe it or not, unless I fucked up and added more elsewhere, which is a possibility, a distinct possibility, because obviously I messed one of them up. This is our last story on the Israel-Palestine event. Like I said, they're under a ceasefire. It seems that everything is kind of slowed down at the moment. In the middle of nowhere. Yeah. That's true. That's true. Exactly. So this is former Vice President Joseph Robinette Biden talking about the hostages. So we supposedly traded some hostages from Hamas that were taken during the October 7th siege. So this is former Vice President talking about that.
A lot of hard work and weeks of personal engagement for me.
The scratchy goes away. That's on
We've been
their
in close
side.
contact with the leaders of Qatar, Egypt, and Israel, speaking with each one of them repeatedly over the past few weeks to help secure this deal. We spoke again yesterday with the Emir of Qatar, I owe special thanks to, in order to keep the hostage release on track and push for Abigail to be part of this release. And I'll be speaking again shortly with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And we will continue to remain personally engaged to see that this deal is fully implemented and work to extend the deal as well. For weeks, I've been advocating a pause in the fighting for two purposes: to increase the assistance getting into the Gaza civilians who need help and to facilitate release of hostages. We know that innocent children in Gaza are suffering greatly as well because this war that Hamas has unleashed has such consequences. Thousands have been killed, and from the earliest days of this crisis, I've worked closely with President Sisi of Egypt, the Israeli government, King Abdullah of Jordan, and leaders throughout the region to expand the delivery of critical humanitarian assistance to help innocent Palestinians in need who are not part of Hamas. Under this deal, fighting in Gaza has now been paused for 3 days. Over that time, 58 hostages have been released, including the Thai, Filipino, and Russian nationals. Dozens of families have been reunited. And we worked urgently to take advantage of the pause to surge aid into Gaza. We've moved approximately 200 aid trucks into Gaza each day, loaded with food, water, medicine, fuel, and cooking gas. More is needed, but this deal is delivering life-saving results. Critically needed aid is going in and hostages are coming out. And this deal is structured so that it can be extended to keep building on these results. That's my goal. That's our goal, to keep this pause going beyond tomorrow so that we can continue to see more hostages come out and surge more humanitarian relief into those who are in need in Gaza. We've seen this is the day-by-day approach, hour-by-hour process. Nothing is guaranteed and nothing is being taken for granted. But the proof that this is working and worth pursuing further is in every smile and every grateful tear we see on the faces of those families who are finally getting back together again. The proof is little Abigail. More than 20 other children, 18 years and younger, have been released. They've been released through this deal as well. They've endured a terrible ordeal. And they can now begin the long journey toward healing. I'm going to continue working with the Emir of Qatar, President Sisi of Egypt, and Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel to do everything possible to see the hostages are freed, all the hostages.
Yeah, he continues to just talk. There's no breath ever.
From each of those men I just mentioned. And as we've worked together to see
this dumbass would read it though.
And now to try to extend it further. I'll continue working with all our partners to take the hard but necessary steps to build an integrated and more prosperous and more peaceful region. A two-state solution is the only way to guarantee the long-term security of both Israelis and Palestinian people. To make sure Israel and Palestinians alike live in equal measure of freedom and dignity.
It doesn't look like real well, Alex.
Working toward that goal. So thank you very much. But thank God she's home. A little, I guess can't imagine the enjoyment.
God, I wish I could sniff that kid. God, I wish I could sniff her. You know that's what he's thinking.
We are hopeful, but I don't have anything firmly to tell you at this moment.
Sir, do you expect that if you are able to use this momentum to extend the pause, have you extracted any guarantees about proof of life for other hostages? Or do you have an expectation of how much longer you could push this pause?
Well, look, you know the deal calls for every 10 hostages released to extend another day. So I'm hopeful this is not the end. It's going to continue, but we don't know. And but I get a sense that all the players in the region, even the neighbors who aren't and have been directly involved now, are looking for a way to end this so the hostages are all released and Hamas is completely, how can I say it, no longer in control of any portion of Gaza.
And do they have control of all of the hostages, or are there still other militant groups that you have to deal with?
We think there are probably other militant groups, but we're not certain.
Mr. President, how is
He actually prefers single digits, John.
Do you have any information?
I haven't gotten
9 and younger.
I just wanted to let you know immediately. They were going across into Egypt, as you recall. That was the route. But an older, non-American, elderly woman is very sick and was in need of immediate medical help. So they arranged to cross directly into Israel to be able to take her to a hospital. All I know is that she has been held. I don't know. I haven't seen a photograph. I've just been in communication with my team. But she is safely ensconced in Israel. But there's a lot more work to be done.
Look at this photograph.
I would like to see us move to a point where we were able to, well, let me put it this way. I'd like to see the pause go on as long as prisoners kept coming out. All right. Thank you all so very much. I know, we have to call you. I know you say,
oh no, he's going off script.
Only 10 minutes or so notice. I said, that's the notice I get because we didn't know. I didn't want to be having this press conference if they weren't physically, even when they were in the Red Cross ambulance. I didn't want to do it because they were not out. They were still in Gaza. So I don't.
That's all you knew? You're the president and you didn't know?
I know.
We're here anytime.
What the hell?
All right. So I think. Okay, happy holidays to you guys.
Wow, this man is. I support Joe Biden stepping down. Okay, I lied. This one's kind of tangentially related to the Middle East, and we have some tangentially related stories, but I tried to put everything Israel and Hamas in one basket, tried to put everything Russia and Ukraine in another basket, and then the rest of the world going to shit in a separate third basket. I'm trying very hard to be organized. I know it's different. Just work with me on this one, guys. I'm trying. But I flip-flopped the two articles. So Turkey, Israel espionage thriller. Hacker blocks Iron Dome, kidnapped by Mossad, released by MIT. So apparently, according to the newspaper, the hacker Omar A., who managed to temporarily disable the Iron Dome system in 2016, arrived in Turkey in 2020 via Egypt. So they were saying, again, this is just a data point to show that the Iron Dome is not everything that we were sold. It is a vulnerable system like everything else, and this may have been 5, 8, 10 years ago, but other countries have gotten advanced technologies and advanced abilities, and it's crazy to think that they aren't capable of doing different things at this point that they may or may not have been able to do at some point. So just another data point that, yep, it is possible. It is very, very possible to take down the Iron Dome. However, in September 22, Omar visited Malaysia as part of vacation. Before the trip, Istanbul's intelligence department downloaded an app to the hacker's phone that could transmit a signal and record his location even when the device was turned off. So they were illegally surveilling this individual. Soon as least as Sabah reports, Omar was indeed kidnapped by Mossad agents in Malaysia and taken for questioning to a remote mountain home where he's interrogated for 36 straight hours about how he managed to hack the Iron Dome. So in connection with the incident, 11 people were arrested and the hacker returned to Turkey where he lives under guard in a safe place, the publication notes. So it is not an impenetrable system. It does have vulnerabilities. Speaking of vulnerabilities, we're going to go over to the board before we switch to Russia, Ukraine. That is officially the end of the major news. Again, there's not a whole hell of a lot going on. Like it's relatively quiet until you look at the board, and then we have some command and control planes, a couple of E6s. We have a bunch of C-17s airborne. This is a very, very heavy flight load for a Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. We have our good old P-8 in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest. We have another E-6 up here. That's a C-5 Super Galaxy. Let's see what's over Michigan. A tanker's over Michigan, so there's some fighter activity. Another 135 coming across. Some 135s in the northeast, and a command and control, and a P-8. So we actually have a lot of military. That's a C-5. Oh, C-17. It's a heavy flight load this evening. Not the heaviest I've ever seen, but certainly a heavy flight load. Then we look over Europe, and the U.S. has a C-17 leaving Deutschland, and the Aussies have their AWAC up. I think they just fly it to show how big their PP is, because it's been over the U.S., been over Europe, and it really has no purpose. We have a Eurofighter up over Qatar, and India has one of their C-17s. South Korean military has some aircraft up. That's just a Super King. Nobody cares. And the United States is, of course, in Japan. And we have heavy on the east side of Aussie land as well. Indonesia, Malaysia. So there's a lot of military traffic up at the current moment. Not an alarming amount, but pretty heavy for a random Tuesday afternoon. So Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can see your house on that. It's somewhere in there. I don't know where, but uh, do, do, do. Anything at the southern border? I didn't actually look. They usually don't. These are all trainers, so these are all Texans, Beechcraft Texans. They fly out of Corpus Christi. These would be your. There's a couple Blackhawks and Las Cruces, like right in the New Mexico, Texas area. And those are probably border ops, but they could be training flights. And then this is pretty normal in Southern California. And I don't think those are border ops. The Osprey, no, that's probably going to Arizona. So not a hell of a lot for border operations. This command could be, but probably not. So, no, unfortunately, there's not a lot of aircraft up on the border. If there are any that are dedicated to the border, I would say it would be right in this Las Cruces area. Probably not that C-17. That's running something from. So I would think that this would be your conglomeration of border, because these are Texans, Beechcraft Texans for flight training. Tallahassee, or excuse me, Pensacola is another training center, and obviously there's no border there. So probably, unfortunately, not. I don't know what this guy is. Is this? No, that's training. So no. As usual, no. 100%. That should be theirs. Yeah, move on. Yep. All right, I'm just reading through. They set big fires and boink lizards. Sounds like something I could get my head around. All right, so moving to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and some of this will make you laugh, some of this will make you cry, some of this will make you shout. Former Prime Minister of Ukraine, we've been given $233 billion in aid from the West. Ukraine must change leadership. Here's the calls for it. The CIA is just a little bit behind. They will eliminate Vladimir Zelensky at some point. Visual Capitalist Media Portal reported that since the start of the Russian special operation, Ukraine has received $233 billion. Yep, that's billion with a B of your and my tax money from Western countries. $233 billion were spent on only one thing, the preparation of war with Russia. Look at the true amounts to help is truly unprecedented. That's just an insane amount of money. And what's Zelensky doing? He got caught buying a $75 million yacht. The former Ukrainian prime minister believes that if the current Ukrainian authorities under Zelensky agreed to a ceasefire, it will not change the line towards confrontation with Russia, and the ceasefire period will be used to give a break to the military to mobilize and to rebuild the damaged Ukrainian army. The main task should be to change the regime in Ukraine to bring power normal political forces that will abandon the role that Americans have signed to Ukraine. To be a puppet in the implementation of these plans, concluded Mykola Azarov. So, of course, they're blaming us, but we're the people giving them all this money. But of course, the money's run out, so they got to be bad guys. We have to be bad guys now, because we stopped sending them money, and in large part. I mean, we continue to send them money. It's just often through back channels and much shadier. But yeah, isn't it? Isn't it? A lot. Yep. Way too much. We're still backburnering Ukraine. Like they're hedging their bets because Israel might not work out, might be bad guys, blah blah blah. So exactly, we're keeping our options open, hedging our bets, guys, hedging our bets. And they need to pay it back when it's all done. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. Just to show you again that these guys are ungrateful bastards. Ukrainian general, leopards are useless on the battlefield. It's like they're coming from the Stone Age. Well, build your own fucking tanks then. So the leopards came from Germany in a swap where we sold weapons and tanks to Germany. I believe these are the ones that they're talking about. Yes. The Leopard 1 tanks, which Germany gave to the Ukrainian army, proved to be completely useless on the battlefield as they are technologically outdated and unsuitable to cope with the modern reality of military operations, according to Serhiy Krivnos, a retired general of the Ukraine Armed Forces. Leopard 1S look on the battlefield like they come from the Stone Age. Speaking to the Priamoy TV channel, as Krivino said, even the first 4 modifications of the Leopard 2 are not what the Ukrainian army needs, while he argued that some tanks are arriving in Ukraine already damaged. In a recent article, Forbes claimed that the Russian army has destroyed 25% of the German Leopard 2 tanks that were given to Ukraine. Here's my advice, Ukraine. Are you listening, Zelensky? Get your own damn tanks. Build your own military and fight your own damn war, and stop taking handouts from other people and then bitching about not getting the latest and greatest when you're a corrupt shithole third world country. %. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. So, here's more blame game for the Americans. If you weren't wondering, we're gonna get completely blamed for everything that went wrong, as usual. That's why we shouldn't have helped in the beginning. The American Ministry of Foreign Affairs asked Zelensky for full mobilization of Ukrainians aged 17 to 70. 40,000 women now serve in the Ukrainian army. That's Lloyd Austin, Defense Secretary. On November 20th, 2023, United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin visited Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, to meet with Ukrainian leaders and assure them that the United States would continue to support Ukraine. See, we're not done yet, boys and girls. The U.S. official trip was meant to encourage Ukrainians who are collapsing at the front and send the message that the U.S. has not given up on Ukraine. Well, we have, just not the government and the defense contractors. So on November 20th, the Director of Foreign Intelligence Service of the Russian Federation emphasized that according to Russian intelligence services, the West forced Zelensky to undergo a torture at all costs. Ukraine must prevent the victory of Russia. The West demands that Zelensky resume, regardless of losses, demonstrate the world community that Russia must not be defeated. The U.S. has advised Ukrainian authorities to step up mobilization to replenish the Ukrainian army, which is still suffering heavy losses. In particular, Kiev plans to change the conscription age limits to accept the age range of 17 to 70 years of age. excuse me, what the shit is a 70-year-old man or woman going to do on a battlefield against young Russian forces? In addition, the West ordered to drastically increase the number of women in the ranks of the armed forces of Ukraine. According to Western estimates, there are already more than 40,000 women serving in the Ukrainian military. Yeah, we might as well do some Mogadishu shit. Like this just makes no sense whatsoever. Okay. I may be an ageist, but I'm also a realist. And 70's not doing shit. Russia is recruiting 50-year-olds, but losers 1 year later, 70-year-olds are fighting for Ukraine. How heroic. Yeah, exactly. It's so asinine how they keep flip-flopping. So, in case you didn't already know this, here's Lloyd Austin again in his lovely conference. U.S. Defense Secretary, we don't have a magic weapon to give Ukraine to beat Russia. Well, we do. We do. We just don't know if we want to go there yet. Ah, shit, this one didn't translate. This whole website's in Greek. But it's a good website. The United States does not have a magic wand for Ukraine in the conflict with Russia, Pentagon Chief Lloyd Austin said on November 20, 2023, at a press conference in Kiev after meeting with Vladimir Zelensky. According to Austin, Ukraine's results on the battlefield depend on the ability of the Ukrainian armed forces to synchronize the use of various weapons provided by Western countries. It's a tough, grueling race, and it will continue to be, added Lloyd Austin. Do I think the U.S. is intentionally having young Ukrainians die? Yeah, hell yeah. But there hasn't been much pushback from their own government, so I'm not really that upset about it, honestly. Overthrow your government and push out the U.S. if you don't want your guys to keep dying, because the U.S. isn't gonna show any restraint. HIMARS, Stinger, and anti-tanks, and new military aid package for Ukraine. They want you to know that this aid comes from resources already approved. So we're sending more stuff. The new aid package from the U.S. for $100 million will include one MLRS HIMARS, an additional ammunition, Stinger anti-aircraft missile complexes, 155 millimeter and 105 millimeter caliber artillery shells, TOW anti-tank guided missiles, Javelin and AT-4 anti-tank systems. I thought that was it, but I'll read it just to make sure. And over 3 million cartridges for small arms. So when the United States just bought up all that military ammunition, that's where it's going. Oh, here we go. Small arms ammunition and cold weather gear. So all the small arms ammunition that the United States government just bought up, it's on its way to Ukraine. So yeah, Russian one. Well, I think most of their youngers are dying. Well, that's absolutely the magic weapon that they just don't want to use it yet. Yeah. Yep. No, it's just 1, 2, 4. Absolutely. So now we're gonna go through the war could have ended, when the war is going to end, how the surrender is gonna go, and how Zelensky's gonna win. So this is gonna be a roller coaster, but it's gonna be fun. Put your hands up. Ukrainian MP, the war in Ukraine could have ended in the spring of 2023, but Britain did not want it. Again, here's the international blame game. Everybody else didn't want it. and they're not a sovereign country, I guess. So Johnson asked us not to sign the peace agreement. Well, if your men and women are dying, then maybe you shouldn't listen. Hostilities in Ukraine could have ended last spring, but former Prime Minister Boris Johnson blocked Kiev from signing a peace deal with Russia, said David Arkiema, head of the Servant of the People faction of the member of National Security, Defense, and Intelligence Committee, in an interview on the TV channel 1+1. The Russians were ready to end the war if we took a neutral stance like Finland and pledged not to join NATO. We will not sign anything with them, and let's fight, said the Ukrainian politician. At the same time, according to the MP, Ukraine did not agree to a ceasefire. This was against its constitution. So its constitution, I guess, says we got to be wiped off the map first. I would think ending a war would be a good thing. Certainly. That was it at the beginning? Yeah. Yep. Right. No, they're sending all their citizens to die. Exactly. If you're getting fucking annihilated, you sign that shit in blood if you have to. Especially at that point, you know the war's over. So when it could end, war in Ukraine may last until 2030. Let negotiations begin, says the Slovakian Prime Minister. No to military aid to Kiev. I don't think Russia's going to fuck around until 2030. I think it would be over the second we stop pouring money into it. Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico suggested on Friday that peace negotiations should begin in Ukraine, where the war, as he sees it, could last until 2030. It would have been better to have 10 years of peace negotiations with a ceasefire in place rather than sitting at the negotiating table in 10 years with an additional 500 or 600,000 dead. True. Mr. Fico's coalition government, some whose ministers belong to the far right, have already canceled 40.3 million euro military aid package for Ukraine prepared by the previous government. Members of the EU and NATO, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, have historic ties and a strong alliance, having been one country until the bloodless breakup of Czechoslovakia until 1993. I'm convinced that it makes sense as Ukraine needs help in its courageous struggle. If Czech Republic or anyone else in the world or in Europe decides to give aid to Ukraine, we will not condemn anyone. So, no real pressure. Just saying, let's start thinking about winding it down, but we don't really need to. Here's another guy putting in his 2 cents. Scott Ritter, Ukraine will surrender to Japan's standards. There will be no negotiation. Russia will simply dictate its terms. So much after we drop the bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they will have no other options but to surrender because they're severely overmatched, and Russia can have whatever the hell they want. Russia should not sign a peace deal, but a capitulation with Russia, a former U.S. intelligence officer, Scott Ritter, said. There will be something similar to the story with the battleship Missouri. On September 2nd, 1945, the deed of surrender of Japan was signed on the American battleship Missouri. Ukraine will have the opportunity to sit at the negotiating table and sign a capitulation text prepared by Russia, which will set out its demands, not demands, but demands. That makes sense. He must have learned from Kamala. Not demands, but demands. And here's this asshole talking about things again that doesn't make any sense. Dreams, Winter Night by Zelensky. 2024 will be the year we blow Russia out of our skies. Strengthening Ukraine's air defenses is the best strategic security investment. So he's trying to grift for more money. and saying the way that they win this thing is if we give them more equipment so they can secure their skies, because 2024 is the year. Ukrainian President Zelensky said on Thursday that 24 should be the year his country throws Russia out of its skies. Good luck, buddy. As of 2022, Ukraine has liberated more than half of the land occupied by Russia. That's not true. In 2023, Ukraine expelled the Russian fleet from most of the Black Sea because the U.S. shot a cruise missile at it. 2024 must be the year that Ukraine throws Russia out of its skies. Zelensky wrote in his post on X. And again, this is just a grift for more money. They want more anti-air munitions. They want more things that they can, grip more money in and fill up the defense contractors' pockets. I know, I just got canceled again. Damn it. If I could go 2 days without being canceled, I would be... Man, it would be a glorious 2 days. I could beat Russia if I went 2 days without being canceled. Reports say they had already signed it and then ripped it up after Boris Johnson went over there. Damn. This guy's such an asshole. Like, he really is. Sorry, Obama. I know he's your favorite, but he's also Deez's favorite. So we have some Zelensky supporters in the chat at times, but Zelensky goes on Fox News. We want to talk to Trump to discuss his peace plan. Authorities can discuss with former President Trump his proposal for a peaceful resolution of the conflict. Zelensky said in an interview with Fox News, "Let's talk with him. Let's give him the opportunity to show the steps he proposes for the peace formula," stressed the Ukrainian president. Give Russia whatever the hell they want. Zelensky confirmed his readiness for dialogue if Trump has a clear plan. However, according to Zelensky, peace in exchange for recognition of Donbass and Crimea as Russian is unacceptable for Ukraine. What the fuck is up with this guy? I hope this is what Trump says to Zelensky. 99999. That's all he's got to say. So the two things that Russia definitely wants, and Crimea they've controlled for some time, are non-starters for him. He's still acting like he is. He's still acting like he's in control. And apparently he thinks that if he grifts to the right people, that he might get some kind of recognition. Good luck, buddy. We're on to you. We understand that you're just a piece of shit wannabe grifter. And it's not going to work out for you, my brother. So good luck with all that shit. And some joyous news as we finish up the Russia-Ukraine saga for this evening's show. Zelensky, 5 times Putin tried to assassinate me. He plans to behead me by the end of 2023. Well, there is a silver lining. There is a silver lining. Putin probably couldn't have killed him because he hasn't been in Ukraine. But I'm sure if Vladimir Putin wanted you, he'd be gone. What the fuck is that? Huh. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is in an interview he gave the British newspaper The Sun, said that Russia wants to remove him from his position by the end of 2023. According to Zelensky, a plan has already been drawn up in Moscow under the codename Maiden 3 with the aim of destabilizing the Ukrainian president. The latest information is that there is a plan that they really want, and the name of the company is Maiden 3. It means a changing of president of Ukraine, maybe not by killing. They will use whatever means they must have. The idea is to start a new business that will have a deadline at the end of this year. You know, we can live with that, Zelensky says. Yeah, nah. Russian special forces parachuted into Kiev to kill me on the first day of Putin's invasion of Ukraine on February 24th last year. His bodyguards sealed off his office with makeshift barricades and plywood. Zelensky and his closest aides immediately drew their weapons. However, the question about whether Ukraine would kill Putin if they had the chance, he answered, "This is war, and Ukraine has every right to defend its land." So they can't kill Zelensky because he's Zelensky. But if they had a chance to kill Putin, that's justified. It's absolutely justified. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That seems to be the actual narrative to most things, is that they were hitting civilians and that it's been Russian occupied for a very long time. Yep. The U.S. needs not send one damn cent to Ukraine until the streets of Detroit, Chicago, and Portland look like Kiev, clean and trash free. And with the penis playing leader, I mean, it's always worse watching the penis playing leader. So we're gonna do it again. My Google broke. Could you explain? Metzabep? I can't even say it, buddy. Metzitza. I'm sure Cheese could. If Cheese is around, he'd love to explain it to you. I don't even know what that is, honestly. I'll look it up. I probably shouldn't. Metzitza. Oh, I've heard about this. Yeah, fuck that shit. Nah, I'm good, brother. I can send you a link. You want me to send you a link? I've heard about that, though. You'd get along in our Discord, Comer. All right. So, this is Vladimir Zelensky, the fearless president of Ukraine that is going to kill Vladimir Putin with his bare hands.
That's that shit.
Hell yeah.
Eat.
I don't care who you are. That is fucking talent. And I want him to be my president. That is talent. Absolutely talent. I don't know. He could be one of the best leaders on the planet. Speaking of, so now we're moving off the Russia-Ukraine war into the grab bag of middle of the road shit that didn't really fit in either of those, but has some tangential relation. But it's just general tension in the world. And I thought it was important. So, message to the United States. Russia plans to test the world's largest nuclear missile with a flight over the South Pole. So they're back at it again. We got information that they were going to test a nuclear missile. I tried to cover it live. We got a lot of indications, and then there was apparently a U.S. cyber attack that stopped it. But they decided that we're going to do it all over again. So Russia is preparing to test its largest nuclear missile, the Satan II, which is as tall as a 14-story building with a flight over the South Pole. State media revealed before the news was quickly censored. Vladimir Putin is reportedly determined to make a show of force to the West by putting Russia's 1st Regiment on combat readiness next month with the 208-ton RS-28 Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile, known as the Satan II. It's known as the Satan II to the West. They call it the Sarmat. Although Russian authorities have to admit the unstoppable missile, which reaches a speed of 15,880 miles per hour and can wipe out countries, has not been sufficiently tested. It is a Satan II. It is a hypersonic missile. We cannot shoot it down. We cannot stop the damn thing, and it would hit wherever the hell it wanted. Russia's state-owned TASS news agency reported even a truncated LCI developed on a flight test, and assuming all launches are successful, will require several more launches, including via the South Pole. The Russian news agency about the South Pole was hastily censored, but remains cached in the British newspaper Daily Mail. The news is causing concern in the West as Putin prepares to deploy the Satan II, a missile designed to be Russia's ultimate nuclear weapon against NATO countries, but which so far appears to have one successful flight test in the country in April 2022. The Sarmat Regiment, consisting of the command post and several launch silos, will be put into combat service as part of the user missile formation of the Strategic Missile Forces in December this year, a defense source told Russia's TASS news agency, as noted in its section report that was not censored. Russia test-fired the intercontinental ballistic missile Satan II while Biden was in Kiev. Satan II Regiment is already in experimental combat service in the Krasnik region of Siberia, another source added. However, the first source admitted that tests of Russia's 5th-generation missile have been delayed and are not yet complete. Oh, yeah, it's propaganda. Propaganda. Absolutely. I don't actually know what Sarmat means in Russian. I'm not that far in my Russian lessons, but I might get there at some point. According to the TASS cable, Sarmat flight tests are currently being carried out by the Plastiak Cosmodrome to the Kura Training Center in Kamchatka in the Russia Far East, but eventually a test flight of Satan II of the South Pole is reportedly suggested before it was censored. The hypersonic missile is designed to strike the West by flying over the North or South Pole, making it impossible to intercept by existing air defense systems. Putin insisted last month certain procedures remained to be completed for Russia to move into mass production of the Satan II for combat-ready service, and promised that this would happen in the near future, something he had said last February. The Sarmat Satan II missile replaced the Russian arsenal of Voyvoda, or Satan, which has been in service since the 1980s. The R-36M2 Voyvoda missile was tested at least 17 times during the Cold War before entering combat service. Hey, cheesy. It's amazing I don't get more, honestly. There you go, Comer. There you go, buddy. She's explained it to you. Thanks for the super, by the way. In another attempt to throw me off. So I'll keep my eyes to the skies for this one. We probably won't get much warning from this one, but if we can catch it being tested or a post-flight test, then it'd be something that I would certainly want to see. This is the one that everybody had a huge issue with. I'm trying to see if they have, because he did an original thing, and it was let me see if this is it. Nope, I don't want that one. He released on Russian state TV. This is the one that looked like it was going to hit Florida in the simulations. Bah, bah, bah. But this is a nuclear capable. It is hypersonic. This is not something we would be able to stop in any form or fashion. There we go. The Guardian has it still. It's about a minute, so we'll take a look at the SARMAT 2. So it goes orbital. It can get anywhere. Well, pseudo orbital. Can get anywhere pretty damn quick, and it holds multiple warheads. I think 8 was the last number. I don't remember. That looks like 8, 6, something like that. But that's basically so it holds 8 warheads, and they spread apart and can hit multiple different areas, and those are all nuclear. Thermonuclear weapons, so should be fun. Washington Post: China and Russia in secret talks to build undersea tunnel in Crimea. The same Crimea that fucknuts isn't going to give up. Zelensky supposedly isn't going to give it up. There's a lot here, and I don't feel like reading it, but Russian and Chinese businessmen and high-ranking executives of their companies with ties to the governments of the two countries at the end of October discussed in a secret meeting plans for the construction of an undersea tunnel that would connect Crimea with the territory of Russia, writes the Washington Post, citing evidence which fell into the hands of Ukrainian secret services. Just take it with a grain of salt, but that's just more international cooperation between China and Russia, and that is never a good thing. Never a good thing. And we see most of the countries moving away from the West. So let's get to some questions, but no, but certainly both sides are putting out propaganda. Yeah. Certainly they're all putting out propaganda. It's part of the war effort. It always is. What are all the nukes actually aimed at? Synthesizers will be empty. What do they have to destroy? Military centers. There's several lists, and of course, certain things are going to be unclassified. But maybe I could do a show on that, because that's pretty neat. To see all the U.S. targets that are supposedly on the target list. Thanks, amazing. You just gave me a show idea. I'll do that, and I'll do that for sure, because I have a list of like 300 in the United States that would be targets. So mutual destruction, but I think there's less of an appetite for that, and there might be some concession if they hit very quickly, because it's not something we wouldn't be able to respond until the Satan missile already hit the United States. It's hypersonic. It has a very low profile. We might see something go up, but we wouldn't know until it hit us. So, yes. It is. Yeah, it brings a certain amount of unity, camaraderie, that kind of thing. That's why That's why Trump was at the border serving Thanksgiving dinner. You think that's what he wanted to do? No, it's a publicity. It's a publicity thing. You have to show up. You have to rally the troops and show that you're, in it to win it. So, yeah, for sure, I'll do that. So, yep, for sure. Moving along, we have another nuclear power joins BRICS. Pakistan submitted an official request. So Pakistan has submitted a formal request to join BRICS, which is growing exponentially. The Association of Nations, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, among others, and many others. Yes, I can confirm that Pakistan has made a formal request to join BRICS, which we believe is an important group of developing countries. BRICS is not technically slated as a military alliance, but if shit goes down, it's going to become a military alliance very quickly. We believe that joining BRICS, Pakistan can play an important role in promoting international cooperation in order to revive a multilateral and inclusive status as the representative of the Pakistani Foreign Ministry. Pakistan's new ambassador to Russia, Mohammed Khalid Jamali, said Islamabad applying to join BRICS in 2024 and is counting on Russia's help in the matter of the republic's inclusion into the Union of States. So you're seeing a lot of people that the West leaves out or is bullied or is treated poorly. And you're seeing a lot of people start to join BRICS. And that can't be good for the United States. He did. Yep. I think I played that in... I think it was on Thursday. I think it was last Thursday. I did it on Wednesday. I think it was on Wednesday's show. I moved news from Thursday to Wednesday because of the holiday, and I believe that it was on Wednesday's show. Because they were making fun of, they were saying, because the Border Patrol in the Texas law enforcement were wearing brown shirts, and they were making the comparison to Hitler's Guard and the brown shirts and racisms. So it is. Yep. Yeah. I think Pakistan wanted a seat at the Western table and didn't get one. Because there was some buddiness with India and China, and I think that their hatred for India said, well, if India moves to BRICS or the Chinese side, then maybe we'll go over to the West, and the West kind of rejected them. So I think there was some interesting dynamics going on, regional dynamics going on, and they finally said, to hell with it, we'll just join BRICS. So, yeah. It's an economic alliance slated as of now. But if something broke out, there's no question in my mind that they would join militarily. So, and because of BRICS, hey, no worries. Because of BRICS, Russia sold almost all of its oil well above the cap imposed by the West. So we keep thinking that we're going to put sanctions on stuff. Well, the United States isn't as strong. The West isn't as strong as it once was. And nobody really gives a shit about our sanctions. Indians are dumb. They'll team up with India and China, their two biggest enemies, if it's in their best interest. Yeah, and we're starting to see that now. Sent you a Pakistani article on Discord. Not sure if you covered it. BRICS move is a surprise. Thanks for super, buddy. Yeah, I'll take a look. We'll go back to this before we get to the next one. So, U.S. helped Pakistan get IMF bailout with secret arms deal for Ukraine. Leaked documents reveal. Wow. So that's what I was just saying. That's what I kind of thought, is that they were trying to get in happy with the West, and something must have went wrong there. So sales to the U.S. helped facilitate a controversial bailout from the IMF earlier this year, according to two sources with knowledge of the arrangement, with confirmation from internal Pakistani and American government documents. The arms sales were made up for a purpose of supplying the Ukrainian military, marking Pakistani involvement in a conflict it has faced U.S. pressure to take sides on. And that, well, could have been it. The revelation is a window into the kind of the behind-scenes maneuvering between financial and political elites that is rarely exposed to the public, even if the public pays the price. Harsh structural policy reforms and demand by the IMF, as in terms of its recent bailout, kicked off an ongoing round of protests in the country. Major strikes have taken place throughout Pakistan in recent weeks in response to the measures. The protests are the latest chapter in a year-and-a-half-long political crisis roiling the country. In April 22, the Pakistani military, with the encouragement of the U.S., helped organize a no-confidence vote to remove Prime Minister Imran Khan. Ahead of the ouster, State Department diplomats privately expressed anger to their Pakistani counterparts over what they call Pakistan's aggressively neutral stance on Ukraine war under Khan. They warned of dire consequences if Khan remained in power, and promised all would be forgiven if he were removed. So the U.S. doing U.S. things. The U.S. doing U.S. things. Yeah, absolutely. Pakistani democracy may ultimately be a casualty of Ukraine's counteroffensive. Rafiq, sorry, I'm just terrible at names. It's not intentional. A non-resident scholar at the Middle East Institute and specialist on Pakistan told The Intercept. This is a very long article, so I'm not going to read it all, but I'm kind of skimming. So what that sounds like to me is the U.S. once again put pressure. The U.S. once again said, we need our guy installed. Once again, we're gonna put pressure on you to do what we want you to do, and you're gonna take our side. And it may just be that it was too much, way too much. Nice echo. I don't have an echo. I shouldn't have an echo. It's for the best. You don't want three boarding nuclear superpowers constantly at each other's throats. Yeah, but when they have a common enemy, and the common enemy is my home, I don't like that either. I don't like that either. Damn, so she was a subject matter expert. She was a subject matter expert. No echo. Okay, perfect. CIA doing CIA shit and destroying moral of the world, for fuck's sake, we're screwed. Exactly. It's interesting because I had not seen this article, and I appreciate it, Comer. But that makes sense because, like I said, they were pro-US, and it seemed like they were leaning more towards getting into the West, and then after that, you saw, yeah, damn. So the U.S. got in somebody else's business again, and they didn't like it. And this is going to be the challenge for the United States moving forward, because the United States doesn't have the power that it once did. Before, you could absolutely do this, and they did in countries all around the world. But we don't have that same power. We need to learn to take a back seat, and we probably shouldn't have been doing it at all, ever. But the reality is we were, and we have to find a new way to be influential in the world without removing leaders, sending in the CIA, and turning the place upside down because we just don't have that power anymore. It's not there. Yeah. So, yeah, send me a pic. See what we would do with that young lady. So anyways, back to this article. And I'm going to keep that one because I'm going to read the whole damn thing. But, so I can get caught up on it. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving cheese. Don't tell him, though. He left already. All right. Russia's managed to sell almost all of its oil well above the $60 a barrel price ceiling imposed by the West, a Russian government official said today. The Russian Union, or the European Union, about to be the Russian Union, G7 countries and Australia introduced a price cap on Russian oil last December, aimed at limiting Russia's ability to finance the war in Ukraine. Even unfriendly countries stressed that so-called price ceiling has not worked. More than 90% of the oil is trading well above the price of $60 a barrel. Russian Energy Ministry official Vladimir Volgarsky said during a roundtable discussion in the upper house of the Russian parliament. Russia was forced to halt exports of oil and petroleum products after the price cap was imposed as it struggled to find enough ships to carry all of its production. Oh my God. So it just made more money. According to the state-owned VEB Bank, which presented its own forecast today at an event, Russian oil exports look to reach the 242 million metric tons, 4.84 million barrels per day this year, down from 248 million tons in 2022. In 24, Russian oil exports will reach 241 million tons, VEB says. Yeah. So, and they just increased exports to partners in the region, China, and probably sent some to India, sent some to Iran. Yeah, we're losing our you tell him, he won't believe you. Yeah. But that's exactly how we got so much power and control for so long. Why would a sovereign country listen to any sanctions for a product they produce? Exactly. Is that the one that went to I reported on that. I just don't remember what it was called, but yeah, they cut a cable and a pipeline. Yes. So anyways, moving on. The U.S. is concerned about a possible transfer of ballistic missiles from Iran to Russia. Probably for some Russian oil, if we're being honest. But Iran has their own oil, so they might not even need them. But the United States expresses serious concerns about the possible transfer of short-range ballistic missiles from Iran to the Russian Federation. This statement was made by a coordinator of strategic communications of the White House National Security Council, John, don't fucking believe this guy, Kirby. According to him, the use of such missiles in Ukraine could lead to negative consequences. Well, no shit, Sherlock. He pointed out that Iran is reportedly supplying Russia with various types of weapons, including drones, data drones, guided bombs, and artillery munitions. Thus, it's possible that Tehran will take the next step in supporting Moscow by providing ballistic missiles. The representative of the U.S. administration also noted the recent trip of the Russian defense minister, Shoigu, to Iran, where he inspected new types of ballistic missiles, caused a lot of suspicion on the part of the United States. U.S. authorities suspect Russia, in exchange for military support, offers Iran cooperation Jesus Christ. I'm pulling an Aussie. Cooperation in the field of missile defense, air defense systems, and military electronics. However, there's currently no evidence of this. Of course there's not. Of course there's not. And going back the other way, here's some more U.S. stirring up shit in the region. The U.S. insists Wagner is preparing to deliver an air defense system to either Hezbollah or Iran. What will Russia get in return? Probably everything we just talked about. So this is just the other side of the previous one. So the Wagner paramilitary organization, at the request of the Russian authorities, is preparing to deliver an air defense system to Hezbollah, Iran. The White House said yesterday, we stand ready to use our anti-terrorism sanctions against Russian individuals or entities. Didn't we just figure out that didn't fucking work with their oil? And half of this is in Greek, so we're going to have to... Iran intends to deliver ballistic missiles that Russia could use in Ukraine. That's the one we just went over. So it appears to any outsider with a half of a brain that they're sending them air defense in exchange for ballistic missiles. I don't think that's much of a stretch. I don't think. That's China. But it's okay if we do it. That's what I was looking for. It's okay if we do it the other way, because look at this. Look at this, boys and girls. Germany without air defense will give 4 more Iris-T to Ukraine in new military aid package of 1.3 billion euro, along with 20,000 155 millimeter artillery shells. I just want one 20 or 155 millimeter artillery shell. Exactly. It is. I never said it was going to be good. I just said that I would give it to you. Yes. I'm just an asshole on the internet. Biden sanctioned Russia, so now he can't get cheap ammo for weapons that would be used against us, but he'll give Al-Qaeda and ISIS military equipment while trying to ban firearms here. Yeah, and that's what I said. That's why I said it was coming when they started buying up surplus ammo and restricting purchases of ammo. And that's exactly what they did, is send it to Ukraine. So exactly. Germany will support Ukraine with another 1.3 billion military aid package, which will include 4 additional Iris-T SLM air defense systems. I'm sure this will help you fight Russia's aggression, he said. This underlines that we are on the side of Ukraine effectively and reliably. So a shit ton of ammo, a bunch of pretty military systems. It's insane. Like, good job, Germany. But again, you have one side that's saying this is completely unacceptable. We can't have this, blah, blah, blah. And then you have the other side that's like, nah, fuck it. We're just going to give you more. We'll just give you more. We'll just keep loading you up. We'll keep loading you up. It's okay, boys. It's okay. Well, let's stay in Germany. Why don't we? And then I even have a couple for you, Comer. What I think is your country. Fuck. I try not to be a dick, but I don't actually ever remember. All right, so alert in Berlin and Munich. The Zeit describes German-Russian conflict and fighting in German cities. Climate is strongly reminiscent of the period before the Second World War. So this is what was as reported by the German language Russia Today. So RT. He's one of Germany's greatest warmongers. He sits comfortably in the armchairs of German talk shows and does not avoid any request to interview. The politician scientist Carlo Massala. Massala works as a part-time professor at the University of the Federal Armed Forces in Munich. His job is a propagandist. His most important concern at the moment to enable Ukraine to achieve victory over the Russian through German support. Massala rhetorically relies on fear-mongering. In an article for the newspaper Die Zet, Massala and Nico Lang outlined the danger of Russian attack on the EU. Lang is also a warmonger. He works for the recovery campaign of the Munich Security Conference, which aims to make Germany's militarization and confrontational politics more palatable and auspicious for Germans. Massala and Lang's positive thesis: if Ukraine falls, Russia could absorb the entire EU. The sirens are screaming, cell phone warning tones ring thousands of times. Alerts in Munich, Frankfurt, and Berlin. Cruise missiles and swarms of drones infiltrate German airspace. German soldiers also have been involved in shootings in the Baltic state for days. In response to Russian attacks there, NATO sent Article 5 aid. Russia responded with missiles. So again, this is just absolutely, unequivocally, the tensions are growing at a rapid pace in the entire region. And like they said, it's looking much like right before World War II. Moving on to what I think is, I really don't try to get this right. No, it's Norway, isn't it? Fuck it. Well, it's close enough. It's up there. 300 foreigners on the Russian-Finland border. Yeah, it's Norway. Tensions at the border crossing. The NATO country is creating artificial congestion. So this is the first one, and there's a second article. So about 300 people from 10 countries have been waiting at the solid border crossing between Russia and Finland. Murmansk regional governor, Russian Fontaka media, has researched chats in which refugees, mostly from Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Morocco, discuss ways and costs. So, allegedly at the border, I really don't do it on purpose. I just always Norway and like I'm not sure which one's on the other side. Norway and Finland. Sweden's in the middle, I think. So that's allegedly what's going on. So there's a second story to accompany this one. Tensions escalate. Finland, Estonia accuse Russia of hybrid attacks. And it's in Greek, so I gotta refresh. Give me a second. Estonia's interior minister has accused Russia of hybrid attack operation by sending migrants to Baltic country borders in a bid to undermine its security. So, unfortunately, there are many indications that Russian officials from border services and possibly other agencies are involved. To put it bluntly, the ongoing migratory pressure on Europe's eastern borders is a hybrid offensive operation. Organized in groups of 7 to 11 people. 7-Eleven, that's kind of racist. Helsinki closes all border crossings with Russia except one. Finland's prime minister, blah, blah, blah. So they're saying that it is a coordinated attack by sending in migrants. Finland got it. The United States hasn't figured that out yet, but I'm not entirely sure. From the last, Norway, Sweden, Finland. That's what I said. Sweden's in the middle. I just screw them up. Which one's which? Sorry, but Finland took on Russia decades ago. I don't think it will go so well nowadays. Probably not. Probably not. All right. So moving on to another country up there in that, yeah. New slap from Erdogan. Turkey informed NATO that it's keeping Sweden's extension on ice even more. So Turkey, which is another one of these countries that I think is going to flip once conflict starts. Turkey has informed NATO that the ratification of Sweden's entry into the alliance will not be completed in time to allow the country's accession ceremony to take place during the alliance's foreign ministers meeting next week. Two sources familiar with the matter said on Wednesday. So they're trying to get it done very quickly and accept Sweden into the United Nations or into NATO, excuse me. And it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. I think that I truly think that they're on the other side, and that'll be the first flip once the war starts officially. So yeah, no Sweden and NATO for at least now. So Norway is just a frost-ridden wasteland, nothing to bother about. In my defense, you wouldn't think Sweden doesn't border Russia, but Norway does. That was almost coherent, buddy. Norway also border Russia. Huh. Huh. Because it kind of goes over the top, right? AC 130. So now we're moving into the U.S. involvement in various other areas. AC 130 shot down pro-Iranian forces in Iraq for the first time. Baghdad speaks of dangerous escalation. CENTCOM is talking about self-defense. So supposedly there's about 70, and we're not going to read all this. We've read this shit before. Supposedly there have been 70 attacks on U.S. personnel or U.S. bases in the Middle East. And now they're starting to reacting to U.S. bombings. The Iraqi government condemned a blatant violation of sovereignty and a dangerous escalation, underlying that the strikes were carried out without the knowledge of authorities. So the U.S. seems to be just going in and dropping bombs like they normally do, and not giving a shit about the sovereign nation of Iraq. So that always ends great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. More U.S. news. Why is the U.S. burning? Test flights of the F-35s with incomplete TR-3 upgrade packages began. These are looking more and more like a unmitigated disaster. Lockheed's been having some problems with the F-35s. First F-35s with embedded technology refresh 3 software conducted a flight test, and other F-35s have since followed in the same way. Will continue with their full version until approved for operational use. So there's been delays, upgrades, more problems, more test flights that haven't gone properly, and Lockheed doesn't seem to be in any hurry to fix anything. So refresh 3, new operating systems, and then there'll be an upgrade to Block 4. So an aircraft that still hasn't even been fully implemented and just came out at a huge price tag, still does not have a technology package that's worth shit, actually. Really. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Gross. I deciphered it eventually. I think. No, there's an arrogance with Americans that we just don't give a shit to do it. I'm just being honest. All right, so now we're moving in to Grandmaster China. I think this is the most concerning news. Probably the most concerning news because this shows that something is afoot. China continues to offload U.S. treasuries for a sixth month at lowest since 2009 at $776.4 billion. China is just burning U.S. treasuries, selling at a loss in most cases. China, the second largest foreign creditor to the U.S. after Japan, reduced its holding of U.S. treasuries for a sixth straight month in September for $778.1 billion, according to data from the U.S. Treasury Department. Down $27.3 billion from the previous month. Japan cut its holdings by $28.5 billion to $1.09 trillion. Biggest monthly decline since April. In the United Kingdom, the largest foreign debt holder of U.S. debt, also reduced its holdings by $29.2 billion to $668 billion. People are getting out of U.S. treasuries fast. And that's probably not a good sign. Probably not a good sign. More China. No worries, brother. You fucking rant. That's what we're here for. Exactly. We're falling quickly, and that shows it. No, it's not that we don't love it. We just can't be bothered to at times. Like we're not gonna take time to get it right, and most of it is American arrogance. I'm just being honest. Like, so recently on Tuesday, footage released of Chinese social media app Weibo showing a Class 071 landing craft spewing black smoke from various places. That did something really weird. Apparently, I can't click on that. It almost looked like a Twitter redirect, but it's not. There we go. So here's an alleged video of this. This could be a bait, but so this is apparently a Chinese landing craft on fire. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, they're going back to currency that actually is based by something. So, yeah. Apparently, it's a Chinese warship on fire. I don't know. Engineering casualty and was on fire off the East Coast. Now appears to be false. So there's a little bit of back and forth on it. It looks to me like it's on fire, but moving on to Taiwan in China. No, Taiwan to the U.S. rejected LCS proposal. They had no chance to survive against the Chinese fleet. So even Taiwan doesn't want us. Thank you, but no. Taiwan's naval staff has rejected the American proposal to receive and operationally integrate the littoral combat ships, better known as LCS. The Taiwanese Navy's proposal was reportedly negative. The reasons are reasonably assumed to be related to objections that have been expressed in Greece as well as financial constraints that have led to consideration as an alternative solution. As for similarities between the islands of Greece, both face a threat from much larger in terms of volume and quantity opponent in Turkey and China, as well as threat of retaliatory actions. Navy Command, no LCS, thanks. So apparently Taiwan doesn't want our fucking help. Which is also incredibly interesting because, I mean, it may not be out of the question for them to cut us out and have a peace deal with China. Like, they know the destruction that would happen and probably are not hell-bent on the U.S. saving their skin. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. So, I don't blame them. Hang on one second. All right. Damn it. I'm trying to. All right. So now we move on to North Korea. But again, it seems like the whole world's making deals and leaving the United States out of it. And I think that's scary. Huge success. Oh, shit. This one was supposed to be first. There are sirens in Okinawa. North Korea launched a spy satellite in a video. North Korea launched a rocket believed to be carrying a satellite. South Korea and Japan said, marking Pyongyang's third attempt to put a spy satellite into orbit. Japan reported by its J Alert broadcasting warning system that North Korea appeared to have fired a missile, sending a warning to residents of Okinawa Prefecture in the south. So, yeah, that's just a warning. I was looking for the actual missile, but I don't think we're going to get the actual missile. Yeah, those are just warning systems. And I couldn't find any footage of it. Let me see if I can see. Because I didn't find anything earlier, but North Korea spy sat launch. There's one from BBC, but it's not really showing. Nobody told me about it or would have covered it. Maybe this has. So I'm just trying to preview it so I don't. Okay, we'll watch the Aussie version of this. It's only a couple seconds long, but apparently they have a little bit of footage of it.
North Korea has claimed it successfully launched its first spy satellite into orbit. Kim Jong-un oversaw the launch, and according to state media, North Korea will launch additional satellites in the near future. The rocket briefly flew over the Japanese island of Okinawa, whose residents were warned to take shelter as it flew overhead. The US and Japan have condemned the launch, claiming it violates multiple UN Security Council resolutions.
Of course it does. So that was apparently the little bit of footage that they had. So, huge success of North Korea. Its satellite scans American bases in Guam. Russia analyzes satellite images, build up forces on border. Pyongyang announced that it will boost its military presence on the border with South Korea after it launched a spy satellite on Tuesday. Thursday, thanks to Russian help. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un personally supervised the launch and already studying satellite photos of main U.S. bases on the Pacific island of Guam. So they basically worked with Russia to put up a satellite. Not a fan of a spy satellite, but I'm always a fan of additional space travel. We'll see how long it stays up, and when you start throwing North Korea in the mix, you worry about orbital trash and orbital shit getting in the way. Yeah, it's always bad. Huh. Could be. Very well could be. The UN is a fucking joke. The West seems to be a fucking joke as of recently. Vikings even had slaves and gay couples, but it was looked down on being the female part in it. The more you know. The UN is about to have control over the whole world with the backdoor pandemic agreements being signed. Yeah, but yeah, I can see that. All right, so that's all our war and tension news for the night. I wanted to briefly touch on this. I got 3 different articles from 3 different sources. U.S. Republicans praise new anarcho-capitalist Argentine president Javier Milei. So we'll watch a video real quick about that. But so this guy. He's getting a lot of praise. He's the Argentinian Donald Trump. Blah blah blah. Kind of sick of hearing that. There's only one Donald Trump, and he's American. But yeah, we'll watch what Fox News has to say, and then we're gonna read an article by the Rolling Stone. Maybe not. Shit. Fucking paywalled as hell. All right, so we'll start with the headline because I'm not paying for Rolling Stone. Screw Rolling Stone. Tantric sex and dog cloning, a guide to Argentina's new Trumpy president. Leftist-hating libertarian Javier Milei won the nation's presidency in a runoff election Saturday night. The former American president is a big fan. I mean, good for him. And good for the tantric sex. I don't know about the dog cloning, but I mean, it could be worse. Certainly could be worse. All right, back to the faux news article.
Oh, hey.
Seriously?
Buying a car from Vroom is so...
Fuck that. We'll go over here for a minute. So the other individual that I had was CNN, because we want news sources from all over the spectrum. Far-right outsider Javier Milei wins Argentina's presidency. So there seems to be a lot of mix. I heard many different things about this guy. And we'll go back to. I hate how Fox does their videos now.
Milei secures the president. This is a Fox News alert. Celebrations across Argentina as the libertarian candidate Javier Milei secures the presidency in yesterday's election. He said, quote, "Today begins the reconstruction of Argentina. Today begins the end of Argentina's decline. Today ends the impoverishing model of the omnipresent state, which only benefits some while the majority suffers." Here to react is host of Piers Morgan Uncensored on Fox Nation, Piers Morgan himself. Hey, Piers.
Good morning.
Good morning. What do you think?
Well, I was doing the maths with this guy. So He's a conservative TV pundit. That's where he's come from, ranting every day on television, normally against socialism, against government overspending, against the political ruling classes. He would also wield a chainsaw in public quite regularly to illustrate what he would do if he was ever in power. So very much when you add it all together, and the fact his nickname was the Wig and Mr. Crazy, the Wig because of his dodgy hair and Mr. Crazy because he's basically nuts, you have the Argentine version of Brian Kilmeade.
Well, he's definitely shaking things up down there. Now, Sergio Massa, do you think the reason he won is because they loved him, he's an outsider, he's something different, or because of this? Inflation's 140%. 40% of the people there live below the poverty line. And he, the guy who's running it, Sergio Massa, was the economy minister.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what this is about. You've got a country that used to be an economic powerhouse, very successful nation, and it's been brought to economic ruin, really. And a lot of people in Argentina are crying out for something different, something new, something fresh. And this guy, all right, he's a maverick. He's a little bit nuts. He's certainly to the right. He's a conservative to his bootstraps. But he's also promised to just shake things up a bit and make a difference. And he's an economist through his background. So I think they're basically saying, look, we've tried everything else. We're in the cart. It's time for something new. And this guy is their Donald Trump. You know, he's come along just as Trump did in 2015-16. And a lot of people have gone, oh, my God, this can't happen. And then it happens. And actually, as we saw, Trump in many ways, particularly on the economy, turned out to be very effective. So I think there's a lot of optimism.
Probably
a lot of concern that he's something like they've never seen before in their politics. And it's going to be fascinating to see how he gets on.
Yeah, Trump congratulated him on Truth Social. I'm sure they can relate to one another. Thank you so much, Piers. Great to see you.
Pleasure. Lovely to see you.
Thank you. You can watch Piers Morgan's show. It's
fuck you. So that's what Fox has to say about him. So, and I know Fox is no longer conservative or never was. But it's interesting to see the breakdown of sides. So now we're going to watch the Communist News Network and their 2.5 minute, 3 minute foray into this fine young gentleman.
Poll Sunday to choose their next president. It's a tight runoff election that could change the direction the country is heading. Stefano Putzabon has the details.
It's just a matter of hours before the polls open in Buenos Aires, and the contest is closely watched around the world because it pits a far-right candidate, Javier Milei, who is a disruptor and a populist candidate, against the finance minister and the career politician Sergio Massa. Sergio Massa is currently serving as Argentina's finance minister and has pretty much built his career in and out of public office. On the other side, Javier Milei, his challenger, has only entered politics only 36 months ago, and before that he was working as an economist for the private sector. A win for Milei, who is clearly hailing from the hard far right, would mean a change of momentum for conservatives worldwide. Milei has associated himself with the likes of Jair Bolsonaro in Brazil and Donald Trump in the United States, and decisively move Argentina to the right. For example, Javier Milei is proposing to completely privatize the Argentinian public health sector and also to support private education in a country that has always supported public education. Another way this election could transform Argentina for good is because Javier Milei is proposing to completely dollarize the economy of Argentina by getting rid of the Argentine Central Bank and replacing the Argentinian peso with the US dollars. Argentina is once again battling record high inflation and struggling to repay international debtors. The plan to switch the currency from the Argentine peso to the US dollars has triggered a debate among economic think tanks. And for example, it's not so hard to imagine. The Cato Institute in the United States considers dollarization the best way for Argentina to finally provide the reforms that the country so desperately needs. However, his opponent, Sergio Massa, is not leading in the polls, but has already pulled up a surprise victory in the first round of the Argentinian presidential election and is here for a fight. In just a few hours, the polls will open in Argentina, and by Monday at this hour, we will know who the next president of the country will be.
All right, so here's my take on Milei. Here's my first take. It seems he's equally hated by faux news and the Communist News Network. Rolling Stones is trying to smear him. All the liberal rags are trying to smear him. So he's probably a decent guy. He does look like a music guy. On the other side of that, I don't really give a shit what happens in Argentina, to be honest. I don't know much about the country. Don't plan on learning much. There's that American coming back through again. But yeah, I truly don't really care about Argentina. The thing I think that you can reflect on the world is we saw the same thing with like Bolsonaro in Brazil and different. It seems that conservatism is on a rise. I don't think this guy, from what I read, is. I agree with you, Obama. I don't think he's some far right fucking right of Trump kind of guy. I think he's more of a centrist libertarian type. I don't think he's far right. I think that's just what they're pegging him as. And I wish him the best. I wish him the best. And it only helps the United States if he's going to start trading in US dollars. Maybe we can start rebuilding some of this conservative shit if we can get rid of the asshole that's in our Oval Office. And turn things around, because that's probably it's probably unfortunately what it's going to be like, these incremental steps to try and bring back the superpower that is the United States. So I wish him the best. I hope it goes well for Argentina. I think everybody deserves a fair shake, and I like it when people change things. I like it when people just don't sit on what's been the way it has been for decades and decades. I believe if it's not going correctly, make a change. So I like him, and he thinks he's better than my own prime minister, but he isn't my ideal leader. Well, I mean, unfortunately, we don't get our ideal leaders, because my ideal leader would be myself. So he's the first Libertarian Party leader to be elected, so it's kind of historic and might lead to other countries electing libertarians if he does good. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. It might be where we get kind of a rollout and a push to certainly start turning the tide and bring it back. So, but yeah, it's it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it, and we can only hope for the best. Libertarian is the dumbest shit ever. I mean, it really depends. It really depends. Libertarianism, like every other political system, is never done correctly. It always gets bastardized and goes towards the middle because it has to have mass appeal. But I think there are several different political systems or political ideologies that could be beneficial and helpful in places. And like I said, I'm always down for a change. So I wish them the best. But that's probably as far as I'll go on it. Because yeah, it really doesn't benefit me a whole lot. So anyways, so that is it for Tension Tuesday. Like I said, it's relatively quiet. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, a lot of posturing, a lot of scary shit going on that we should pay attention to, and hopefully I brought you some of the lowlights, and as always, I'll keep an eye on it. The thing I'm looking at the most is this Russian nuclear test, since they did avoid SALT, or they did remove themselves from SALT and START. They can They're no longer in the treaty bans for testing nuclear weapons, so they're in the clear, and they certainly will. They certainly will. So, absolutely. Yep. But that's going to be it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I hope y'all have an awesome night. And what is tomorrow? Wednesday? 50-50 chance I stream tomorrow. But if not, I'll see you on Thursday for news in Roundup. But keep your eyes peeled. It's probably more 75. I won't stream tomorrow, but we'll see. Might happen. So thanks everybody for stopping by. Thank you, Xcomer, for the super chat. It's always appreciated, buddy. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful evening, and I will talk to y'all very soon. Good night, everybody.